Welcome to my daily review. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, and the index had an interesting day today. There's a lot going on, a lot of news. This is probably going to be a long video, not just because the Nasdaq was up, but just because there was a lot going on with earnings, which really interest me. And I try to listen to as many calls and get as much information as I can. And then, of course, just following along the markets, what's going on in the markets with the indexes, with the leading stocks and some of these, earnings moves. But anyway, just taking a look at the Nasdaq today, very, very constructive on the index here after 2 days of pulling back. You could see this morning it pulled back to its 10 EMA and found support there at 17,513. The low was 503, so just a tick below it. But more importantly, here is the 10 is now through the 50, and the 21 is going to be going through the 50 here pretty soon. Don't want to assume anything. I mean, barring some real catastrophe, the 10 and the 21 are going to be stacked above the 50 and starting a trend here. And if you can count with me, you can count the number of days above the 21, which is this magenta line here, and it's closed above the 21, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row. Very significant here as the Nasdaq looks to be getting into an uptrend. I'm not saying this is going to be a V-shaped recovery and go to make new highs because we have to get through that 200 simple moving average. That's still 3.2% away. And that's a pretty good size move. But the index looks like it's shrugging off all sorts of news and wants to go higher. Support at the 10 is critical. Closing above the 21 is critical, and just shrugging off the news, the bad news, and trading higher after a 2-day pullback. This is all very constructive, very positive. The index was up 49 points or 0.27% today, closed at 17,738. Like I said, if you have a loss of 27% here, peak to trough, 2204 to 14,784, and you rally 22%. Well, that doesn't get you to new highs. A rally to 27% doesn't get you to new highs. It's got to rally 37% just to get back to the old high of 20,204. Over time, we know the indexes make new highs, so eventually it'll get there. Will this rally get there? You just have to wait and see, but everything is very constructive here for a move higher. The pullback after a big move here, we saw 2 days of pullback, support at the 10. This looks very constructive to me. Anyway, that's it for the Nasdaq. Just go to the SPY real quick, just to get a reading on how far away from the 200 this is. Support there today, and now 2.1% below the 200. See, same thing as the Nasdaq. Support at the moving average. This 10 just today traded through the 50, just a tick above it if I can get a reading here. The 10 is 55513 and the 50 is 55454, so just a tick below it. How about that? But tomorrow it'll be above it, and the 21 looks like the 10 and the 21 are going to be through the 50 here really quickly. And this is closed above this 21 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just like the Nasdaq here. A little more work to do before I get super bullish. I'd like to see it trade through the 200 and above that 576, call it 577 level. So it's got some work to do. But the Nasdaq and the SPY look very good right now. And I'm want to talk stocks. I got to get to stocks because I want to get to earnings. I want to get to some of the leaders, some of the stocks that are making moves, and then tonight's earnings. So big agenda here today. I've got to start with Google, and I've been talking about this forever, is when your stock has government interference, you got to look out. And nothing good ever happens when the government gets involved with my stock. That's just my history. Maybe somebody's had a good experience with the government getting involved with their stock, but I've been warning about this for a while. Google today, the Apple executive talked about search, and the news doesn't really matter. All you need to know is the government's interfering and your stock's going lower. I mean, what more do you need to know? To see this thing trade at 150 day, after the rally off of 140, that's really heartbreaking. Slicing the 50, look at how long it took for it to get back up to the 50. and then boom, one day, stairs up, elevator down for Google. Anyway, I wouldn't touch these stocks. You think Meta is, in the clear? They're not in the clear either. They're in the crosshairs of the government. And I wouldn't touch any of these stocks. When the government gets involved, no thank you. Apple, like I said, I don't even want to get into the news. Just look at the reaction to the news. Apple below all the moving averages. So, the Nasdaq's going up with these two stocks really getting hammered. I didn't even look at Tesla today. I did like the chart of Tesla. Yeah, pulling back here gently to a moving average. I wouldn't be surprised to see that thing trade through the 200 SMA and through 300 here pretty soon. Seeing that the Nasdaq is being so resilient and looking like it wants to get into a trend. All right, that's enough of the Mag 7 stocks, except for I lied. I want to talk about NVIDIA here because at the end of the session today, and I'm going to go back to the Nasdaq, but the President Trump said something about the curbs on chips, overseas, and it really sparked a rally in the chip. So here it is on the daily chart, excuse me, the 5-minute chart, and you can see the end of the day. NVIDIA was just having, a pedestrian day, kind of muted session. Then all of a sudden, the news headline comes and whoop. So that's when your news trumps your charts for sure. Now it's above its 50. But if you take a look at the Nasdaq today, because of course Jerome Powell spoke, and I don't know, interest rates. Well, anyway, let's just take a look here. The last couple of sessions, you got a gap down on Monday, you got a gap down on Tuesday, and today it looked like a pretty good day, right? We're having a nice day sailing along, and then caution into the news at 2 o'clock, and then as soon as Powell's, interest rates, kind of hawkish report. It traded lower. The initial knee-jerk reaction was lower. Then, it kind of got some buyers. And then it looked like it was going to limp into the close. And all of a sudden, the news from Trump came and it spiked into the close. So I don't know. Maybe that'll, mean good fortune for tomorrow. But anyway, it's just that's the kind of market we're in right now. You get a headline and it pops. So makes it kind of hard to trade. And that's why I like to stick with leaders. I'm going to get there in a minute. But I want to go through some of the names that reported earnings last night. This is AMD. I was talking about, watching for it to break above, this long trending downtrend line. It touches 1, 2, 3, 4, and now the fifth time. Did it break above? Not really. It's really needs to make a noticeable break. Had the volume, up nearly 2%, but that's not the kind of move you really want to see, breaking out. So AMD's fine. It looks like the bottom is in there at 76, but it's just, gosh, it's got, if you look at the sales here, the sales growth 9, 18, 24, 36. That's what you like to see. And then the EPS growth, 19, 31, 42, hike, 55. Great football number, linebacker number there. 55% earnings growth, but it just didn't really move. So maybe, these earnings moves are kind of wonky. Maybe in a couple days it'll start trending higher. Just got to wait and see. All right. Now, who else reported? EA. It's in the game. EA reported kind of a muted response here. It looked like it was really going to take off, but then, kind of pulled back. That's the type of session that it was today, though. Real herky-jerky. ALAB reported. And that's what you call a flat session right there. No movement on earnings report. Arista Networks, yeah, down 5%, pulled back to its 10. On their earnings report, Marvell, they didn't have an earnings report, but they canceled Investor Day due to what, uncertainty, or they didn't have enough clarity, but market did not like that. And it sold off 8%. Upstart reported, we know what they do, and they lose money. There you go, below the 200, below the 50. Adios, muchachos, down 10%. And then GEN, this is one of these cybersecurity names that, uh, looks pretty decent to me, just consolidating within a base. Doesn't have the growth profile that I like, but, consolidating here within a base, not horrible. I mean, I like to pick leaders, so I'd have CrowdStrike or a Rubric, but this one's not bad. And on its earnings report, it was up 8%. Fortinet reported tonight, and I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, that's kind of it for last night's reports. And this morning we heard from Uber, and it looked like, a little bit of a sell-off down to the 10, finding support. That's fine, right? Down 2.5%. These things aren't all going to blast higher in earnings, especially after it's had this big run. There's your 5 minute chart here. Sold off at the open, and buyers came in and just finished flat, not bad at all. And if you just take a look at where it's come from, right? 60 up to 85, it deserves a little bit of a break here. 87 is your standard buy point. I mentioned this yesterday, just a consolidation after consolidation. This thing, it's due to move here pretty soon. Another earnings report that caught my eye was Charles River Labs. Why did it catch my eye? Well, it was almost up 20%. I mean, it's been beaten down in his medical research equipment stock. It's been beaten down. You can see the RS rating is 9, but up to the 50 today. 20% move. We'll take it every darn day. Oscar reported. Now, this is kind of a disruptor in the insurance space, and they're delivering 48% earnings growth, 42% sales growth. It's been beaten down badly too. It was up 30% today, so nice move, especially if you had calls. Those really paid. Who else reported this morning? Oh, Novo Nordisk. You know, you can tell when a company's, Tesla did this too, pretty weak report and it still goes higher. So that tells me that that bottom's probably in there at 57. I shouldn't say a weak report. Heck, a company of this size, 300 billion market cap, reporting 20% sales growth, that's pretty damn good. And if you look at if I go to the weekly here, it gives you the estimates going forward, you know, on their earnings, they're going 12, 14 billion a quarter, not too shabby. Nice, decent growth here from this company. It's been beaten down. It's been beaten down to the ground here, and so I do believe that was the low. And if you just look at the monthly, it's been a beast for a long, long, long time. Finally, get some weakness. You got weakness here with a couple years during the global financial crisis. You got weakness here, 2016, 2017, and finally, get some more weakness. So those have proven to be, pretty decent buy areas whenever it has a little weakness like this. So I'm not saying buy, I'm just saying that, it's probably the low and, it's probably going higher because, like I said, the report was not great, but, especially in comparison to prior quarters, but still going higher on that news. So, and they're going to be first to market with their weight loss pill too. Anyway, that's enough of that one. What else do I have? Oh, Disney. I'm not really interested in Disney. Move though. 7% growth. They got a new park in Abu Dhabi, I guess. 10% move. That's a hell of a nice move for Disney. Great American company. I guess they're going to have tariffs for movies. Who knows? And then Vistra, not the move I was expecting. Kind of a nothing burger here. The report was not great. Negative EPS growth. Those red numbers do not turn me on, but just flat, forming a shelf here. Not bad. That is not the leader of the group. And since I'm getting on leaders and I'm in this group, GEV, every morning I post, the leading stocks above the moving averages, the 10, the 21, the 50, the 150, the 200 with volume above $25. And this GEV is in there every damn day. Why? Because it's trending higher. This thing is just trending higher. These stocks are hard to buy because they're a little extended from the moving averages, but going higher every day. What did it give you? Like a 2 or 3 day little respite here, and then boom, higher. So this one's shaping up in a nice base and definitely a leader of that group of the energy plays. But the leader, you can't have a rally without leading stocks. Netflix has been up, I don't know, what, 12 of the last 13 days, something like that. And just powering higher here. Once again, in the trend, right? When the 10 and the 21 crossed through the 50, what happened? Kept going higher. So that's usually, I'm not going to say a buy sign, it's usually a sign of continued strength. How about that? Unless the market goes to hell, then all bets are off. MSTR, once again, in this trend, the 10 and the 21 crossed the 50, and then it's just trended higher ever since. The CEO is a maniac, just keeps buying more Bitcoin and more Bitcoin. And the digital currency market was up this morning. Last I looked, I think Bitcoin was trading around 98,000, and that always helps this company, but definitely one of the leaders. So I'm just going through some leading stocks. And I'm going to include Palantir, although it got kicked out of my group because it closed, below the 10. It's still, traded down to the 21 after its earnings report. I mentioned this yesterday. I mean, 66 to 125. I don't know, was it a 90%, 88% move? So it pulled back a little bit with the new data point, which was fine, right? I mean, 27, 30, 36, 39. It's got the increasing sales growth, increasing EPS growth. That's what you want out of a growth stock. I know it's wildly overvalued, but you measure growth stocks by the growth, and not the PE, which is what, 237. People remind me this every day. It's so overvalued. How could you own that? Well, because it's above its moving average. Yeah, it pulled back, and I don't care if it, shows weakness into next week as long as it stays above the 21. That's a decent handle right there. I think it was 13% or 14% yesterday. So cup with handle forming. Like I say, you got to give it 5 days. It's only been three. So next week, I would expect this thing to blast higher as long as it stays above the 21. So Palantir looks fine. I'm going to keep including it in my leader list because I believe it is a leader as well as Spotify. This had the shakeout on the earnings, shakeout +3, the old Livermore pattern, and now trading higher. And the 10 and the 21 went through the 50, right? And what happened after that? It just keeps trending higher. So I'm not saying this is a buy. I mean, it was a buy at 621 and now it's at 657, making new highs. I mean, this group is super strong. Duolingo is another one in the group. It's yeah, this is what I look for in, the health of the market. It's a gap higher and then it doesn't pull back, it just keeps, forming a little shelf, making new highs. So that is a healthy sign for me for the overall market. When you judge a market, you don't just look at the index, you got to look at leading stocks because like I say, you cannot have a rally without leading stocks. And these leading stocks, they're leading. That's what you want. CrowdStrike, I think it had this cup with handle and a breakout. I forget the news today. They laid off some people. They just reiterated guidance. I was hoping that it would stay there about 425, which is the 10 EMA today. You see that 424.69, but it closed below it. Not the end of the world. Heck, it could even come down to that 21. 407, and then I'd be more inclined to be more aggressive here. But you could see the 10 and the 21 crossing through the 50, and what happened after that? It just kept climbing higher, climbing higher. Yeah, today they announced layoffs, which is usually pretty bullish for a company because it means they're getting leaner and meaner. But they threw in their reiteration of guidance, and you just got to wait for May 29th for them to report earnings here. The other one I like in this group, I like a little better than CrowdStrike, is Rubric. Double bottom base pattern. I got to explain myself. I like it only because it's leaner and it's meaner and it's younger, and I think it's got more growth potential. I mean, obviously CrowdStrike's the leader in this group. Palo Alto Networks, Zscaler. This is the young buck, the rookie coming out of a AAA ball, and looks pretty good. It's got some promise here. Not sure he's going to be an all-star, but the double bottom base pattern looks pretty darn good. The growth profile looks pretty darn good to me, and just gotta wait. June 17th they report, and hopefully, if the market remains, cooperative, this thing should trend higher. You could see once again the 10 and the 21 through the 50, and it resumed, higher prices. Okay. What else do I have here on my, oh, SE. This is one that I should have had on my ready list this week and I didn't. Still think you can get this. It's forming this little shelf pattern here. So, trading tight within a base, allowing the moving averages to catch up. Once again, the 10 and the 21 just went through the 50. I'm thinking this one goes higher above that 147.73, but they report earnings next week, so you don't want to get too frisky ahead of that data point because we've seen stocks get crushed. I'll get there in a minute. Not quite yet. Get there in a minute. Let me see. What else do I have here? Leading stocks. Oh, I have to throw in the defense names, Helmet and Kratos. These ones are looking good. Once again, you can see the moving averages. So that this looks very good. Helmet today making new highs. Once again, the 10 and the 21 through the 50, just trending higher. So you're asking, how do I buy it? I don't know. You close your eyes and wish. No, what I would do, in all seriousness, I don't own this stock, but if I wanted to own Helmet, I would wait for a day when it pulls back, and it will, and just wait for that five. See the five here. Pulled back one day, was that yesterday, and then blasted higher today, closed near the highs of the daily range. 90% of the daily range. So you just got to wait till it pulls back. Today, that number was a 152.69. So, it's got to pull back $5. Maybe tomorrow that five is going to be a lot higher, 150, 47. Yeah, so it's going up $2 a day. So maybe you get it in there about, I don't know, 154. If it pulls back a little bit, please help me. That's what leaders are supposed to do. They're supposed to be hard to buy because they're charging higher, and they're not just going to sit there and form a nice base, which this one did, right? It formed this little nice pattern, trading tight within the base, pulling back to the five, and then boom, broke out. Now the last 4 days, just been tough to buy. Anyway, do I have any more leaders? I'm going to include Hood. It's not on that list that I post in the morning. But to me, this is a leader in the the fintech space, the only fintech I'd be interested in owning. And right now, it's just, it pulled back gently to its 21, but it, I wouldn't say that's a bounce. I mean, yeah, it pulled back. Let me clarify myself. Yeah, that is a bounce. It found support. It did bounce. It didn't bounce, violently. Yesterday it was up 1.3%, closed 94% of the daily range. And what did it do today? Another nearly 3% move. So I should clarify myself. That is a nice bounce, but not, you want to see a violent bounce. At least I do off this. And I'm not saying make new highs, but get away from this little bull wedge, break free of this bull wedge, which so that begs the next question. What's breaking free from the next bull wedge, you idiot? Well, if it trades above 51.30, that high, preferably, 52, 53, 54 to break out of the bull wedge pattern, break out of the high of the wedge. Anyway, all right, I'm going to move on because there's some stuff going on here. I had some people ask me about this. What is going on with the tobacco group? This is one of the top five groups. Tobacco, I don't know. This is Marlboro. I mean, they're going to do well until everybody, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything because I got to be sensitive. Of course, we know people I just had a friend pass away from lung cancer. So, I mean, this happens. But for some reason, this group has been kicking ass. This is all through a group, and then Philip, the old Philip Morris here. I forget what cigarettes they sell. Probably Camel, cigarettes, tobacco, nicotine contained products. So probably vapes. I'm not really sure. I don't partake, but it's got the blue numbers, the growth numbers, and these things are making new highs. So I'm just pointing out strength. I'm not saying go out and buy these tomorrow or condoning tobacco products. I'm just pointing out strength here. BTI is another one. British Tobacco made a new high yesterday and an inside day today, allowing that five to catch up. Yeah, when you're looking at leaders, you want to keep that five on there. And I know what I want. Turning Point Brands. This is the maker of zigzags. You know what zigzags do. And anyway, this had a nice 25% bounce. Now that's a bounce, folks, on earnings. This is an earnings bounce, and these are the maker of zigzags, right? Yeah, okay. Just want to make that clear. Snuff, just a pinch between your cheek and gum. I had chewed tobacco in college when I played baseball. Everybody chewed tobacco. I don't think they let the kids do it now, though. But yeah, Levi Garrett, man, would come out and everybody would have a big wad of chew in their mouths. Louisville, Kentucky company, snuff, leaf chewing tobacco, like I guess Red Man, Levi Garrett. I don't really know exactly what these guys do. I do know that they're the maker of zigzags, though, and we know what zigzags are for. And a nice 24% bounce today, and it's 16.8% above the five. So that's a hell of a move. RS line going straight through that moving average, S&P moving average. You can see that five and the 21 now through the 50. So that actually would be, something to monitor. If, not chasing. I'm not saying chasing here, but then it sure does look good. 99% close of the daily range. So that's tobacco. I've got to move on here. Gold. I'm just going to point out gold, strength in gold. I was a little surprised because gold was down this morning. So to have some of these gold stocks still doing well, Orla with an inside day, and then somebody asked me to look at TFPM. Yeah, nice little bounce off the 21. So yeah, cool. Yeah, support at the five. The the five and the 21 went through the 50 a long time ago. So yeah, that one's been rolling nicely for a while. Another group that I've got to point, I'm just pointing out strength here, folks. I'm not saying these are buys or anything, although some of them look pretty good. Atmos Energy, these are utilities and oil and gas, excuse me, ga natural gas distribution. EQT is another oil and gas play, double bottom base. That one, if you're looking to buy something and you want something close to an MA that hasn't broken out, this one looks pretty damn good. DTE, another one. Utility, diversified. This looks pretty good. Trading tight. These are not, they're not going to move like AAPL, but they're good, strong stocks. This one's trading tight, just pushing away from its base here. That's WEC Energy. FE is First Energy, another one trading tight within the base. Trending with the five. So these ones look good. I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying go out and buy a bunch of utility stocks. I'm just showing that they're showing strength there. This one above the moving averages, I kind of like them. T, X, and M. This is my last one of these utility electric power. So I'm not going to bore you with that anymore. Although I lied because I like these ones. Sterling. Mentioned this one yesterday after earnings. This one's showing strength. Quanta was upgraded today. Here you got the gap up, and still holding. So that's what you want to see in this market. So anyway, I'm done with those. Couple of health names, COR, Syncora, nice move. And thank you very much. These ones are strong as well. Cardinal Health, yeah, really strong group. MCK is McKesson. Yeah, these ones are just grinding higher. And the one that, all the go-go stock is HIMSS. This one reported earnings yesterday. When you see that triple-digit growth, sales and earnings, man, you look out. This one has incredible strength, and you can see the five here. So how do I buy HIMSS? I wait till it comes back to the five, and this could pull back, intraday, and then hit the five and then rip higher. I mean, I don't think this thing's pulling back anytime soon. Here's your 5 minute. Let me go to the 10-minute chart, back off a little bit here. 10-minute chart. Yeah, there's your earnings. Earnings, it gapped down on earnings and just ripped higher. These are your last two sessions here. That's on a 10-minute chart. It just looks to me like it wants to charge higher. So you say, how do I buy HIMSS? I want to buy HIMSS. Everybody's talking about HIMSS. It's, got the growth. It's going higher, blah, blah, blah. Just, it could pull back intraday. Just watch the five. Don't chase it. Like today, it closed near the high of the daily range. So to me, probably going higher tomorrow. But just watch it. If it pulls back, and like I say, it might not pull back for a whole day. It might pull back intraday, hit the five and rip higher. But you could see the volume coming in here. And this is definitely a leading stock. The five has gone through the 50, and now today the 21. Did the 21 go through the 50 today? 35.49, 35.43. Yes, it did. I can do the math. Anyway, yeah, HIMSS, I think if you're like risk, you like momentum, you like growth stocks, I think this is one to own. It is a disruptor in this space. All right. I wasn't going to do drug stocks, but anyway, I think I will. Halo reported nice move on, closed above 70. Nice. 18% move, 96% of the daily range, big range there. 18% move for Halo. NBIX had the big move yesterday. And yeah, it held the low of today, did it not? What was the low? 116.56 yesterday. Today's low, 116.57. Held it by a penny. Okay, somebody's got a sense of humor. SLNO. This is one without sales, but it continues higher. So, do you follow price or do you follow the sales? Sales are coming with this one. You could see it's moving from losing money to making money here. And if you look at the weekly, it'll give you the data graphs here. Finally, we're going to be having some sales growth and making money in 2026, which brings me to TGTX. A lot of people give me a hard time about this one. This is what this stock does. If you own biotechs, this is what you sign up for, right? Making higher lows, 15, then 16, then 21, then 27, then 28, then 31. I believe the day's low was about 34 or something. So, and if you look at the weekly, it's just higher lows, but every time it pulls back, it's been a buy. So to me, if you liked it at 45, you should love it at 35. And this is just kind of what they do. It had a 7 billion market cap last, Thursday, and then sold off, now 5 days in a row. Now the market cap's 5.4. So it's the same company, same, growth, same everything. It's just the market's deciding it's not a 7 billion market cap company, it's a 5.5 billion market company. And maybe it'll come down to the 200 and be a 4.5 billion market cap. Who knows? But over time, these guys are going to grow. And you have to know when you buy a company if you're in it for the long term or if it's just a trade. And if you bought it here and now you're underwater and you're a long-term investor, or below the 50, you get rid of it. Or like I say, if you're just a long-term investor and along for this ride. If I go here, yeah, it's up 102% in the last year or so. You can't cry. The longs can't cry. They've had a hell of a run. And if you're going to hold it for, a couple of years, which is when, the growth is coming into this company. If you just look at these charts here, yeah. And if I go to the daily, it'll give me yeah, it's going to earn $1 this year, $2 next year, and company growing, 100% with that, earning $2. It's going to be worth more than, whatever, $35. Anyway, that's enough for that one. VRNA is another one that's on my string. Speak, Marty, speak, please. Leading stock list. And my metric is, my criteria is above the 10, above the 21, above the 50, 150, 200, above $25, and with some volume. So this one qualifies. Today, though, in the last couple of days, showing a little bit of weakness. Obviously, there was a new leader at the God, Prasad was, I guess the market didn't like him. It closed right at the 10 today, so this one's probably coming out as well. So we lost Palantir, we lost TGTX, and now it looks like we're going to lose VRNA. Oh, well, that's it for me. Thank you for watching. Except for I got to mention, yeah, this happens. This happens sometimes with uh, with earnings reports. This is WGS. So yeah, Outhouse and the Penthouse. So you got the Penthouse with Halo, and you got the Outhouse with WGS, and that's just life in biotech land. I mean, and if you look at longer term, this thing's still up 200% in a year. So you can't really cry if you've had that kind of a move and then it pulls back a little bit. So it pulls back a lot. But anyway, that's WGS. All right. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing, and that is MELI. This is a stock that we've had on our ready list recently. I took it off this week because of earnings, and it had this big move. But man, today they reported earnings and up 9% after hours. Yay! We love seeing stocks going higher after hours, even if I don't own them, because you can get some pin action off of them. This is app 11, up 14% after hours. This one has been attacked by shorts, at least 4 short reports. I ran out of fingers to count them, but it had a ton of short reports and sold off with the market, made that low there at 200. And this thing is really resilient, man. This thing's like Lazarus, up back from the dead. And yeah, nice full wedge pattern here prior to earnings. And then there you got the pop. So good for app 11. Another one that's really sizzling after hours is SEZL, up 32%. And last time I looked, it was over 70. What a slacker. Now it's below 70. But once again, this nice pullback to the moving average before the earnings. And it was a $79 stock, and it was up 70 after hours. So we'll see what happens there. Dutch Bros, fantastic report from Dutch Bros. They had what was it, 4%? Oh, I don't know, I think they guided 2 to 4% same store sales, which is, if you look at Starbucks, they've had 5 negative in a row. Stock's not really moving after hours, kind of flat, but all they can do is deliver good numbers, and they did that. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Carvana reported. I did not get the report. Of course, Carvana's up. Look at this cup shape pattern, trading tight within the base. Now the data point comes, and looks like it's gonna move higher tomorrow. You got to wait and see. I don't trust after hours action at all. ADMA thought they were gonna, guide higher. The CEO is being kind of conservative here. It's got this little wedge pattern, pull back to the 10. Now tomorrow, maybe it'll pull back to the 21. Let's see what the 21 is here. 22.12. Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. Like I said, I don't trust after hours action. A good report, just they weren't as aggressive in their guide higher. CPRX, another biotech stock, flat after hours, pulled back to the 50, had an inside day today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. And then ARM was not acting well. Yeah, down 11% after hours. So that's it for me. Oops, I lied. Axon. Nice move for Axon. Nice report, nice move. And then Fortinet, I saw it was moving lower. Yeah, 12%. Don't like that. Trading tight within the base, gets a new data point, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But down 12% is pretty significant. Tomorrow morning, we're going to hear from Shopify. We'll see what they have to say. Crocs, the greatest shoe company in the world, will report. This thing looks like it hit a low down here, 86. Looks like it retested. We'll see what they say tomorrow, but they're getting hit with tariffs as well. LNG, one of these oil and gas pipeline stocks, natural gas, liquid natural gas, LNG, duh. And then ConocoPhillips, don't hold out much hope for ConocoPhillips. We'll see what they have to say. And then Peloton, the 2020 darling, the COVID, everybody get your bike and work out at home. And now they're coat hangers, they're clothes racks. Hang your laundry on your Peloton. Oh man, I got to go even further back than that. Yeah, this is a real darling here when IPO, everybody Peloton, Peloton, and then see you later. The old okey doke. That's like what do you call it? Squaw Valley, your ski slope, Vale. Anyway, that doesn't look good when you own the stock and you have a ski slope like that. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, ever.